welcome to my kitchen. My name is Roxana and I live in Missoula, Montana. First, I want to thank you so much for this great opportunity to bring some of my family's delicious goodness to your kitchen. And the recipe I want to share with you today is unbelievably delicious. This recipe that I want to share is called lovingly Black Barts Gangling Guts. I know that sounds crazy, but when we're done with this dish and you see how gooey, ooey, and delicious it is, you're going to understand why. I'm so excited to start. For this recipe, what we're going to need is 8 large russet potatoes. Of course, our main ingredient is going to be Philadelphia brand style cream cheese, and we're going to need 12 ounces of that at room temperature. That's very important, ladies, that it's at room temperature. We're going to need 1 cup of half and half. We're going to need 1.5 pounds. Yes, I said it correctly, 1.5 pounds of butter, 3 cubes salted butter, also at room temperature. Anything with this much butter has to be delicious, does it not? Ladies, this recipe is not for the faint at heart. We are also going to need 1/2 cup of chives, cut small. We're going to need 1/2 pound of bacon. Now, I prefer using thick cut pepper bacon. If you're not a big fan of pepper bacon, you're more than welcome to use regular bacon. As our grandma would say, you can never have too much of pepper. We're also going to need 1 cup of sour cream, and we're going to need 1/2 cup each of shredded mozzarella and shredded Swiss cheese. Okay? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the chill out of our half and half, and I just do that by putting it in the microwave for just a few seconds. So we're going to take that and put it in the microwave. 30 seconds should do it. It's only a cup. It shouldn't take that much. And while we're here, we're going to take the rest of our bacon off the stove. And as you can see, it's fried extra crispy, which is very important to make this recipe extra delicious. Okay, now that we took the chill out of our half and half, what we need to do next is we need to take our cream cheese and we're going to blend it with our half and half. And what we're looking for is somewhat of a somewhat of a sour cream consistency. So I'm just going to put a little bit in there at a time to get it to that consistency that I'm after. Now, in this economy where, so many people are struggling, this is a great recipe because it really gives you bang for your buck. You can feed a lot of people with this recipe. It is absolutely delicious. It's also the kind of recipe that you can use for your holiday table, potlucks. I've taken it to barbecues, and of course, both my children really love this so much that it's become one of their favorite birthday recipes. So, like I said, if you can make something that doesn't cost you a lot of money and it makes your family happy, it's got to be extra good. Okay, as you can tell, the consistency is getting pretty thick, and that's what I want with that. Okay, now that we've gotten our cream cheese mixed with our half and half, we're going to take our 8 large russet potatoes, which we have baked and peeled, and we're going to mash them. But we got to remember here that we're not making mashed potatoes. So lumpy in this case is really good. So just do a little lumping here. I use this big bowl just because it makes it a little bit easier on me. If I use a deep, shallow bowl, it seems like I tend to forget the potatoes at the bottom. So this works really well for me. Whatever works for you is fine. Okay, so you see this consistency we have here? We're making a casserole, so it's important to have some lumps. And like I said, in this occasion, I know Grandma always said you can't have lumps, but for this particular recipe, lumps are good. Okay, so now we're going to start adding and incorporating our ingredients in here. This is where our butter comes in. And again, ladies, anything with this much butter has to be delicious. I cannot wait to show you this final product so that you can see how wonderful this is. Okay, so we get our butter and we start incorporating. the other thing about this recipe that I really like is, like I said earlier, I'm a mother of 2 teenagers, and with their schedules, sometimes I find myself pressed for time. This is something I can make the night before. This is something that I can put together quickly if I need to make a meal, and it really is excellent for those of us who have kids who really enjoy having leftovers for breakfast. My son is a big leftover for breakfast kid, so that works out well in that occasion. All right, so the butter's getting pretty nice and melted in here. Remember, while you're doing this, we want to try not to mash. I know it's hard to do, but we want to try not to do that. Okay, now we're going to add our sour cream. This recipe doesn't really call for any salt or pepper because, of course, we have the saltiness of the bacon. So when you're making this, you know, unlike mashed potatoes, remember that it doesn't really need that. You're going to have everything you need as far as seasoning coming from your bacon. And of course, the cream cheese has its own wonderful flavor it gives as well. Now we're going to come in here and we're going to add our cream cheese. And I want to make sure I get every last bit of it in there. All right. And we're going to fold that in. It is going to have a bit of a wet consistency to it. If it's kind of wet, then that's perfect. Remember that we're going to try to fold as much as possible to keep some of those delicious chunks of potato in there. Now, one of my friends made this also in, rather than baking the potatoes, she boiled them, and it worked perfectly for her as well. All right, so now that we have that done, we're going to incorporate our chives and our delicious, extra crispy pepper bacon. How's that looking so far, ladies? What do you think? I think it looks delicious. Yum, yum. All right. Now that we've got this all incorporated together, we're going to get a shallow baking pan, and we're going to spray the bottom with just a little bit of cooking spray. I'm not going to go crazy, just a little bit. All right. It almost looks like a potato salad. Okay. Okay, we have our shallow baking pan, and we're going to take a little bit of cooking spray and just lightly spray the bottom of that. No need to go crazy, just a little bit will do us. And then we're going to take our potato casserole and we're going to transfer it into that shallow baking pan. It's making me hungry. It's making me... The smell of the chives also is just wonderful. Okay, so we're going to spread it around our pan, and then the next piece, and what makes it so ooey and gooey, and where it got its lovely nickname from, is from the cheese. We're going to take it and spread it all around. And then we're going to take this casserole and put it into the oven for about 20 minutes. And what we're doing here is wanting to get all this cheese on top, ooey, gooey, nice and brown. All right, so I'm going to put this in the oven, and I'll be back with you in just a moment. All right, it's been about 20 minutes, so let's take a look at what's happening in the oven. Oh, and that is perfect. So let's take this guy out. Look at how delicious that looks. Okay, look at how delicious this looks. Now I'm going to show you why we call it gangling gut, or why the kids so lovingly call it that. Look at all that ooey gooey, delicious potato. Just wonderfully delicious.